And are you showing off with all those amazing markers?
Huh. They got donated. I didn't even buy them. They might not even be good. I think they might have come from Sam's Club or something. But the thing about art materials is like you want them to last forever, and they don't. So you just have to like use them hardcore when you have them, and then when they're used up, get a new set. Like just I used to like really covet the art supplies, and like to the point where I'd almost not even use them because I wanted them to last. And it's just like nowadays they're so cheap that you should just use them up as fast as you get them, and then just buy more. Because the more you use them, the more art you're going to make. That's like the bottom line. Okay.
I still find myself doing that with some things, like some graphite.
Yeah, like some
black markers.
So nice. I know. And if they're super nice, then what are you going to do? But buy extra.
You got to use it.
Using them. Okay. Let's fire this up. So I'm going to start, by the way, with the circle here, just this black circle. I think it might actually be a hole, but I'm just going to start with, and the size of this little circle was going to kind of determine, the rest of it. So I see there's a little bit of an inside lip here. So it looks almost like a crescent moon in there. So don't draw, I'm coloring in the middle because you can. And it's not a bad thing to like, I think it's good to start toning like quickly. So you don't like, some people you draw it and then you tone it afterwards. I like being able to use all of my tools at once, and not necessarily judge it. Okay. So there's a double ring on the outside of this. Maybe just draw one. And then if you think you drew it too big, then make the inside one. If you drew the ring too small, then, draw the outside. Let me let in Thomas here. Sorry. Don't mean to get interrupted. All right, cool. Thomas, can you hear me?
Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Thomas. Welcome, Thomas.
If that is Thomas. No one can tell behind
He left.
All right. Nathan's coming in, I think. Gentlemen who have just arrived, just use a regular graphite pencil. We're basically just drawing circles. That's all we've drawn so far. We drew the inner circle. Now we're drawing this outer ring. And then instead of doing the rotating, pivot that allows this thing to move along, I think there's like actually a central axis that might come through here. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to try and get the top and the bottom of my magnifying glass. So this is out of the Georgia Martha illustrations. I'm noticing that it's thinner at the top where the eyepiece is, and then it's wider down at the lens. This is a cartoon. This is not like a science illustration. You don't have to put this in a catalog to like sell microscopes. But where you are going to make it feel more cylindrical is at the curve of this eyepiece up here. So this curve that I'm putting in, you want to imagine the roundness and the curvature of that metal tube. This metal tube that runs long ways here. And then, there's a little, I don't know, it's probably some like kind of rubber or hard plastic, but just like a cap that like, mimics like your eye socket. So you can create it. That's that end. This is where you would like look in. Oh no. And I'm on my internet says that my internet should be fine. I'm connected to the right one, but it's giving me some things. So Stacy, if you notice that I turn robotic or something, just please let me know if you don't mind.
Sure.
Cool. Guys, this is just a warm up. We're not gonna spend all day on it, but it's nice. There's no. This is where next week in my Tuesday class, I'm going to be talking a lot about ellipses. And ellipses are, basically circles that you see slightly from the side. And I need you guys just to do your best on this one. It's, you're going to be like, if you choose the top, it's like rounded at the top. It's like a narrow round at the bottom. And then the widest part's going to be in the middle. So you want to imagine like a racetrack. you know, or, you know, the side of a plate, anything that, you know, is a circle, but then it's seen from the side, like the top of a cup. You know, you can see like my coffee cup, even like when I bend it, like, I don't know, it doesn't work for that. So this is a cup seen from the top, and then this is the cup seen from the side. The rim of that cup is the ellipse. Oh, that's sweet. Yes. Okay, so this cup actually mimics a lot. So I'll try to make it exactly the angle. Cool. Yeah, whoever held that drawing up, I'm not sure who it was, but it looked good. Yeah, nice, good work. The classic signal that everybody uses for glass is like this series of straight lines. It's cool. It creates like this plane. If somebody's wearing glasses, you know, just put a couple slashes that are parallel on the front of that glass, and it like works. Like everybody reads it as being, you know, being a flat piece of glass, even if it is kind of like a curved lens. All right, let's do this base. The pivot base, you're not seeing really the top or the bottom, but this is going to be like the axis point. So I think, you know, a lot of times there's like gauges on here. These lines that I'm putting in here are like almost like measurement gauges, so you can like recall and reset and calibrate it however you need. He's using vertical lines which represent shadow. I don't think they represent shininess. I think they actually represent tone. So you might as well put that in there, and it overlaps the outside ring. Interesting. I'm going to draw the base according to the third dimension, even though it's like kind of painted out. So I'm going to do what starts off as a rectangle, and then I'm going to show that it has a curving bottom, just because we're on this like elliptical kick. So the roundness of that tube, you can suggest the roundness both going in the sideways direction and the vertical direction. It's actually crazy how you can imagine like so much geometry. You know, when you're trying to learn how to draw in the third dimension, you know, you think, oh, like these are just kid drawings or something, or like these are just cheesy cartoons. And you're like, the artist is not a cheese ball. The artist made millions of dollars selling books that have, you know, that to the untrained eye don't look particularly remarkable. But there's a lot of people out there that do not know how to draw cylinders. And not only do they not know how to draw cylinders, but then to have the maturity to like paint it solid black, you know, like that's confidence. I would like, if I knew that it was a cylinder and I was drawing it so well, I'd be like, I'm not going to cover up all that hard work, but they got into it. So we got this vertical, which started as a rectangle. I'm going to give it a curved bottom. And then here we go. This is this dome. It's like half of a globe. It's a semicircle, hemisphere. You can almost think about it like a globe, like longitudinal lines. And then latitudinal lines. All this is gonna get covered in anyway. So I'm just showing how you would create, you know, how artists have represented the earth. You know, they've used lines that run north and south, and they also run parallel lines that run, you know, sideways, latitudinally. The equator is a latitudinal line. Longitudinal lines, long ways go from the very top to the very bottom. So I'm not.
Yeah, we learned about that last year.
Nice. And that's the thing. Once you've learned the concept, then, you know, then it should, in theory, be easier to draw. I'm not going to draw the whole globe, but I am going to, in the same way that there's a rim around the eyepiece, there's a rim that's around that base. So you're right, Stacy. It always goes later. I had this piece going to like 1:15, and it's already 1:20. Nice. Who's that? Who's up there? Stace, can you take a picture of that? And I can't tell anybody.
Yeah, Robert, nice and still.
Robert, excellent.
Robert, thank you. And Miles, hold that up just a tiny bit. Yep, right there.
Looks good. That looks great, Miles.
Thank you.
Let's everybody take a deep breath and take maybe 3 minutes.
Benjamin.
That looks great, Ben.
Thank you.
Maybe take 3 minutes and choose either the tube or the base, whichever one. And notice how with this base, I'm making lines going longitudinally, like shading lines. And then I'm also using lines that go latitudinally. So like the shading, the way I structured the drawing helps me with the shading. And that is the point. The reason I put those grid marks on there is to guide me in my shading. And you can apply the pigment. And with graphite, it's so nice. Like, I don't know if you even have tortillions, but you can roll up a piece of paper and like, look at how I can blend graphite. I didn't even have to like finish it. And the graphite blends so nicely. That's part of the reason we use graphite, to draw with, because it blends and it's not, and it's easy to erase. It's very forgiving. Sometimes you can draw so hard and so harsh and like make such aggressive lines that they don't blend out, but that's just, you just get used to that. You just say, okay, well, I'm just not gonna like scratch the paper so hard and aggressive. You can lay in, a good amount of pigment while keeping like a gentle hand. And, the way that you apply marks ultimately becomes your style. So like, if you're heavy-handed, like don't deny the heavy-handedness. I mean, it's just recognize it as being part of how you draw. Nice.
I drew like too many tiny dots, but
that's okay. It's just a warm-up. This is a warm-up. And when you have, this is like a rolled up piece of paper. It's called a tortillion. You can actually see how it's rolled. You can buy them at Michael's. You can buy a whole packet at Michael's for like $3. I recommend you getting them. They're just good to have. I have like 1,000 because every time I go to Michael's, and like the people in school here use them for pastels, and it's a little bit annoying because the pastels will really muck up the paper, whereas it's nice to have a set that's only for graphite. And I do have some tucked away. All right. 10, maybe 30 more seconds, boys. I'm getting close to finishing this bad boy. And then we'll try something that's like a little bit more like interesting, I would say.
Trevor, can you freeze your hand toward the bottom of the magnifying glass?
Like that? You want my hand in there or you don't want my hand in there?
I would like your hand in there a little higher.
I feel like
Thank you.
I feel like I'm posing for a picture. I guess I was.
Yes, indeed. I wonder why you would feel that way. Thank you.
All right. I think we should try. Let's just try the snake. I think you guys will really love the snake. Let me keep going for let me move this over. So in this story, oh no, the story's from the this is the main character, Martha. She's a hippo, and that's George in the background. There's there's the magnifying glass on the table.
yeah, I've read like all of the George and Martha books.
Nice. They're so sweet. They're like the nicest couple ever. So I wanted to draw this sad-faced Martha, just so you guys can get a handle on the character, but I kind of want to do the snake instead. Wait till you see the snake. The snake is like incredible. And I don't know the story. I assume they have a pet snake. What is it? Oh, it's a stuffed snake?
It's a cross-eyed snake for sure.
Anyway, well, I think it's gonna be fun to sketch the like the spot, or like the way that the tube goes, like the way it curls over itself. And then you can also decorate your own patterns on it. Are you guys cool with doing the snake? It's not gonna be hard. I mean,
Yeah.
not if you do what I say. I'm just kidding. But I will hopefully. I was think my general plan for the snake is to start with the head, and then we'll basically build the snake in sections, going from head to toe. I think that's going to be the probably the safest way to go. Okay. And then I'm going to do this with the little guys too. That's why I wanted to start this now before the other little guys came on, because I think we're going to do this at the end of the next one. All right. Are you scared? I'm a little scared.
I'm terrified.
Are you terrified? The fear, like living with fear, when it's rational, is like healthy. It just means like with your body, it's like your body getting ready to perform. And you're like, you feel like butterflies, and you're like, all right, let's do this. You get it before sporting events. I used to, at least, and I always get it before drawing, and it's exciting. You end up getting addicted to that feeling of the unknown and going into the unknown. Okay, so let's do this together. Let's start with a simple oval, and I'm going to start kind of high to the top of my page here. I'm just going to use an oval, and that is going to be the start of his head. Cool. So we'll call that oval his head, and then we should give him 2 eyes. He's got seriously googly eyes. Maybe this is stuffed. There's a pupil aimed towards the middle on each side. And then there's an iris that's outside of that. And he's actually got red eyes. It's a little scary. So there are 2 circles, 2 ovals, whatever you say. But now it's taking on some kind of like a personality. Like at least it looks like it's got eyes. So that's all we can say. All right. So then this is the head. And then the head turns into the neck. And I don't know where the neck and body separate on snakes. There's got to be some kind of indication, but based on the vertebra. But I'm just, for our purposes, I'm going to call this the top of the head. It's a little flat section up here. And then we can wrap all the way down the front of the face, come under, and then it's almost like a sock puppet, like the sock puppet coming forward. And let's give it the tongue. There's a tongue in there. It's got a split tongue. I think it is a stuffed animal. That's what makes this thing a little bit less scary, and that's what makes the pattern, like less anatomical and more, stylized.
Do we have to draw it like curled up?
I mean, you don't have to, but I'm going to try to do that. So the neck is going to come down. It's going to hit the ground. And we see the left side of the neck. We don't really see the right side of the neck because it's behind the head. But after it hits the ground, we'll just call it the bottom. The bottom's going to curl up. And then we can see how the top of that part of the body comes up from the face. And then this is where we go with what I call enclosures. So enclosures are like top, bottom, like left, right. So this part here, it's like, do you see the yellow patch? So there's the top of the yellow patch and then the bottom of the yellow patch. So I'm just going to do the yellow patch right now, just so I can explain the whole point. So I did the bottom and then I did the top, and then inside this yellow patch, the enclosure is the right side, the bottom and the top, like that. All right, so the whole snake is going to curl under itself and spiral down into the tail. So it's like makes this gorgeous spiral down into the tail. Who just came on? Did I get to see anybody just come on? I thought I let someone in. Okay, no, you're fine. So let's just go, if we go little by little, and honestly, there's a type of drawing that's called sketching. And most teachers will like recommend not doing it. But what sketching is like, if I was going to draw a triangle, it's like making these little hatch marks that are just like, they're almost like lots of little teeny marks, that like ultimately come together and make a line, once they're in the right spot. I use sketching for when I really can't figure out what's going on. So I'm going to say, maybe do a little bit of sketching, as it curls under itself here. And then we can curl the large hump, the tallest hump of the spiral, and then it comes down. And this is like the outside, the wide outside. And I even came in a little bit early, came in a little thin, just like he did. Look how he pinched it right here. Wow, it's amazing. All right, so I'm using these little dots to sketch. And as I think I'm getting it right, I can make those lines more confidently. Comes under, spirals through. Nice. All right, so we'll call that the body just because it's like spiraling. And then we'll do the tail. So we'll go from like you could almost call this up here as hips. So we got the top of his hips, the bottom of his hips, and then that's going to S curve into the teeny spiral in the other direction. So I'm sketching the top, I'm sketching the bottom, and then this one curls up and starts to turn over. And then this one comes down the spine, and then you get a little thin spiral in here. And the easy part is that the tail just ends, angles up. Wow. Thank you guys for practicing this with me. It is really good practice, and I think it's kind of fun if you get the spiral. So whenever you have like a tube, something that's long and thin and cylindrical, like your wrist. So if I go like, you see my wrist here, if the cuff, see how the cuff of my shirt like makes an ellipse, so would a bracelet. I don't have a bracelet, but whenever you have something that's long and thin and you do the the bracelet lines, you can break up space that way. So this is a long explanation for now I have to like break up the snake into these different subsections. So there's the part that is green, has green and red. It's got the red triangles. It's green and red triangle. Then there's a whole section that's just green. Then there's a section that's yellow and red triangles. Then there's a section that's just yellow. Then as the tail goes down, do a bracelet line. Got a section that's just yellow. This one has a red triangle. Interesting. Then there's another bracelet line that gives us yellow with green triangles. And then a thin green band. And another green triangle. Then another red triangle, then another yellow triangle, then another red triangle, then another green. It's amazing. It does get very striped as it gets to the end. The key, I'm going to just draw them in a different color. Maybe I'll do red. These are bracelet lines. The red lines here are the bracelets. And they do loop like all the way around. This yellow strap right here, that starts in the front, that you can see it, but it goes all the way to the back. You just don't see that angle. See, this is what I was afraid of. When you use graphite, the metal is so soft that when you try to do markers on top, it just messes up the pen. So I might have to do a pen on the next one so that I can color it. Most pens, like black pen, like this one, once it's dry, then you can cover over top of it with marker. So we've got the patterns on the inside, and then it looks like there's like shadow. So I might darken up my outside line. I should just do a pen. This method that I'm using right now, gentlemen, is what the artist did themselves. They didn't just start drawing this with like straight up pen. They sketched it first in pencil, and then once they knew exactly where the lines were, then they came in on top of the pen and made it perfect. And that's, there's multiple phases to drawing. So like, you don't have to draw everything perfect the first time. Like it's like writing an essay. Like if you write like a paragraph, you never write it perfectly. You know what I mean? If you get an assignment, you write a paragraph. It's very rare that you write every word, every sentence structure, every piece of punctuation exactly right. It's just so rare that happens. Not that it doesn't happen, but you go back and you refine it, you correct it.
It doesn't happen unless you're one of those high school nerds.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to shame anybody for being super smart and being perfect, because then I would be making fun of myself.
Oh,
No, I'm just kidding. But there is a process to art making, and you just abide by the process and don't kid yourself into thinking that you can make it perfect every single time. I mean, you work towards perfection. It's not that it's not perfect. I mean, you could argue that it's perfect at every phase, but you can argue that, like, I don't know. It's not I'm not trying to get that deep on it. Whoa, cool, dude. That's hardcore. You made him thinner. I
I
love
don't
it.
think
He looks more like
Robert.
a real snake in that one.
Hold that a little bit closer. Robert, hold that back up again. Closer
Cool.
to you. To you, to you.
These are fun, man. And that's the nice thing about
Nah.
these, is that, just because
Thank
we're copying
you.
somebody else, just because we're copying somebody else's work, doesn't mean that you don't make it your own version, sort of. Yeah.
Ben, hold that up again. Please. Closer to you. Yes. And if
Ben,
you move it to your face, I can get both the microscope in there and your snake. Thank you.
Ben, did you use a pen or a pencil?
Pencil.
Okay. One of the things that you might make you a little, like, make it like a quick correction that won't be that hard. This circle right here, you made the circle, the spiral, a little bit big. If you come in and make that circle smaller, it might be a smoother transition into the tail. Try just making that inner circle, the inner spiral, a little bit smaller. That's the only real correction I have, actually. Loving it, though. So when I did my pen, and that's the thing, I'm using a Bic Atlantic, which who knows what that even means, but it's a pen that I have here that it works pretty solidly. I just wonder if in this class period, if it's gonna dry enough so I can use my eraser.
The other kids are coming in like 8 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Count for that. So we'll work on this. I think we can squeeze one more piece in before they come. Squeeze in something easy. Look at that, I forgot to draw his head. Do me a favor though, as we finish this up here in the next minute or two, notice how he's got shading on the side of his head. And a lot of times shading on edges helps things turn corners. I love that design. Yeah, you can put in shadows. You can also continue working on your designs. You can actually color those in, Robert. Like you could make them, some triangles dark, some light, some gray. When you have a pencil, you can make parts that are like, super dark. You can make other sections that are like kind of light. You can make different patterns, different dots. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. I mean, it's a stuffed animal, so it's almost like you're drawing fabric. Anyway,
are we doing a 2-minute warning?
Yeah, this is essentially a 1 to 2 minute warning. I'm just going to throw in my patterns, pattern variations, bracelet lines, and triangles. And then I would like to include some shadows. So I'm just going to put those in quickly. I acknowledge that I'm drawing kind of fast here, but you guys got, everybody got the point really well. There's some shadow on the inner part of that spiral. Interesting. Yeah, the whole bottom has all of that shadow in here. And all these marks that I'm using to indicate the shadow, they don't break the plane of the silhouette. So they don't go outside of the line. And I think that does make a difference. They can touch the line, they can go up into it, but they're not gonna go outside as you add those shades. So in theory, my picture, I should be able to color these with marker.
And it is 140.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
That's too green. Let's try the next thing. This is cool.
Ah,
Does that feel better?
yes. To me, it feels better.
Yeah, it's still a little too dark, but. I just want to see if I can cover up the pen lines without it blurring. I think it does do that. Wow, fun. All right, I have to stop. Can I just put in?
You must.
Can I put in the pink tongue? Excellent. Miles, can I see yours before we move on? Miles, can you hear me? I don't think you can hear me.
No, I don't think so. And I don't see him on the screen any longer. Oh, there he is. There you go.
Oh yeah, bro. Excellent. All right, cool. That looks great. You might want to put that. Notice, Miles, in this composition, he's putting the snake like inside of this rectangle. So you guys might want to place your snakes inside of a rectangle, like in a frame.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks.
I think some of these other guys are coming in. They're coming in at a good time, actually. We might not squeeze another one on, but we're gonna get another on here. Stace, did you get pictures of everybody?
You know, the gentleman that just had his is it Ben?
Username and passwords. So I can help you find.
Okay, it's Leo S.
Yes. All right. So yeah, I'm muting everybody. I appreciate everybody being able to focus with all of that background noise. So yeah, nice one.
Very nice. Thank you.
Awesome.
Very well done.
All right, boys. Well, those of you that have just come in, we've been studying George and Martha today. George and Martha is it's a children's book, but it's so much more than that. They're really nice, sensitive stories. And, they've made, like millions and millions of people have read these books in the over the years, and they've made like a small fortune. So just because the drawings are like a little bit basic, they are done by really, masterful artists, and I think they're worth our consideration. So let's make sure to get everybody in here. So I've got two scenes.
Do you want to borrow my charger?
Oh, boss. Okay. Just mute. Try to remember to mute everybody when you come on in. Okay. We're going to start off with the picnic basket, and then we're going to expand out from there. So those of you guys that are coming in, you can use this as a warm-up. Those of you that have been sketching already, we're going to fill out the entire rectangle. So don't feel like it's not like an entire composition. Let me just get a fresh sheet of paper. And then let me zoom in. And this should be helpful on a number of levels. We were talking about a little bit about 2 dimensions versus 3 dimensions. And, the first thing we have to do is build the picnic blanket, and then we're going to add stuff to the picnic blanket. So why don't you guys stick with me here, and we're We're gonna build out the whole mountain. We're gonna add flowers. It's basically like a stage set. So let's just first start off with the picnic blanket. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask. If you have regular pencils, that's fine. If you have pen, you can do that. We have to build this blanket, and it's going to be on the ground in perspective, which sounds a little bit complicated, but let's just start with the front of the blanket, and then we'll go back in space from there. All right. You guys with me? You guys ready to do this? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I just gotta keep letting people in. Ted, you should be in here. Watch this. Good job for muting. Amazing, y'all. Amazing. Okay, so don't put the spots on yet, please God. Let's just build the blanket first. All right, so we got to go from corner to corner, and we're not going to do any of the, we're not going to do any of the like folds in there right now. So let's just try to get this corner. You see, go wide, and we're going to draw what's like called point to point, and that's when you make a point, seeing one corner, and then another point for the other corner, and then we're just going to come across lightly. We got the front of the blanket. Whew, yes. Let me let Nathan back in. All right, so those of you that just came in, we've done basically nothing so far. All we did was draw one line, and that line is the front of the blanket. Now, in order to find the back of the blanket, we have to go back in space. So we have to go over and then we have to go back. So we can go over a certain amount, then we can go up, and then we're just gonna like put a point, say a prayer. Hopefully it's in like a pretty decent spot. So we'll go this front corner, we're going over, and then we're going back to that back corner. We're gonna go over and hit back. Nice thing is that this corner and this corner should be kind of lined up together. So maybe we do the back of the blanket right now. This is called point to point. So we've got four sides of a blanket. The blanket that's further away from us appears to be shorter because it's going back in space. Let's get this side. You can make the edge of the blanket a little ripply maybe because it's fabric. Cool. All right, maybe we should add a little bit of the, now that the blanket's like looking good, let's do a little wrinkle right here. So we're gonna come across the front, put the front of the triangle in there, and then back down. And then we can draw the rest of the fold. God, I love this. It's like, there's like such simple little movements that create such interesting depth. All right, so we're gonna keep coming along the front. And then this triangle is a little bit curved. It's like almost like a zigzag. So up and down, and then we'll keep going. And then there's another variation, which is a back zig across and then a front zig. You see the wrinkle. There's a fold there and there. And of course, there's going to be a little shadow underneath because you're basically creating like a little cave. It's like this miniature cave in there. I did indicate that you see the bottom of the blanket ever so slightly. There's this like little indication that they do to talk about grass, and you could just throw that little grass in there. There's a little shadow on this side. Amazing. Before we put the spots on the blanket, I'm going to teach you how to put the spots on the blanket, like seeing them from the side. But first, maybe we should do the plate. Let's do the plate. I was showing this to the guys earlier. If you look at my cup, there's like this regular cup. When you look at it from up above, it's obviously like a circle. So it's like perfectly straight. That's not the angle that we're seeing this plate. We're seeing
please have a seat.
so as you see this here, hold on.
Open the door.
Oh,
Leave it the way it was.
we're so close to finding. There it is. Okay. So whenever you see a circle from above, it's a cylinder or a cone or whatever. It's a circle. When you see it from the side, the lip of this cup is called an ellipse. So that means that it stays the same width, but like the height is like a different distance. So in order to make this plate look like it's on its side, we're drawing one of these. So this is the middle of the plate, and then this is going to be the outer portion of the plate. If you make your plate too big, it's fine. So now we got a little plate on there. I actually happen to think that we should add a little shadow because a lot of times the plates are like at an angle and they like stick up. So I'm just going to darken that line a little bit. Boom, boom, boom. And then what do you think? Let's do the basket. Sorry guys, there's something new. There you go. Thank you. So boys that just came in, we built a picnic blanket, and we did it by finding the four corners. The front is a longer line. The back is a shorter line because it's going back in space. Now we're just putting objects on it. Here's the bottom of the basket. So I'm going to make the line where the basket's in contact with the ground. And it's going to curl up the side and open up into that lip. It's going to curl up the side and S-curve into that lip. You can erase the back line if it's distracting. We needed that line though. We needed to know that that line was there. And then just like we're above looking down at the plate, we're above looking down into the basket. So I want you to imagine that the opening of the basket is nothing more than just a big plate. So we're going to see the side here, we'll see the side here, and then we can connect it. Nice. There's a, we don't have to do the blanket on the inside where all the food is. We don't have to do that yet. What we definitely need is the handle. So we'll come up to the rectangle from that side, and then we'll erase the lines. I have to adjust because I ran out of paper. Sweet. So the basket handle comes up, and then just like a rainbow, the inside comes up and then it goes back down on the other side. So this comes up and then it rainbows down. There's the top of it. There's lines for the inside of it. Perfect. We can draw the blanket that's on the inside. What I love about the blanket on the inside is that it's got this checkerboard pattern.
We need to go in 8.
8 minutes.
You need to leave in 8 minutes?
I think so.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay. Cool. Are people like freaking out? Is this good? I mean, do you guys have, is anybody having like any issues that any questions with?
Yes, I am not good at 3-dimensional drawing at all.
Okay, let's see it. Can I see it? Can I see what it looks like? Okay. It looks, I mean, it actually looks, it looks great. What you tend to do is like, you make things like, it's almost like the back of the blanket is like coming up at you. And the same thing with the plate. So let me just sketch it over here for a second. So like, imagine if you were to like take a plate out of the basket, and then you stand it up, leaning up against the picnic basket. That is what the plate would look like if it was leaning up against the basket. And then if you were to take it and lay it flat on the ground, you're basically drawing an oval. And that's how you make the plate feel like it's on the ground. So try it with the plate first.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And then the best part about this, guys, if you need more practice, that's how you put the spots on. So if you draw a circle like this, that circle is not going to look flat on the blanket. So you have to draw an ellipse, which is basically a squashed circle. So you can use, I'm using my colored pencil because I have it. You don't need colored pencil. You can just add
Yep,
spots.
there. Look at Teddy.
Add spots based on your
Nice, Robert. Benjamin, did you have yours up?
And if anybody else has any questions, you can ask me too. Like Miles feels more comfortable. Oh yeah,
Thank you.
great. These are great.
Miles, Robert, very nice. Miles, keep that up for us. Great.
Version 2.0.
Perfect. So boys, take those circles that you're putting on the blanket and you got to squish them. I mean, it's, if you want to think about it like it's a cherry, if you have a cherry and then you squash it, like squash them flat. And you can just put like a ton of them on there. I can't even believe like the color that I chose for these spots is
It is control of 8 squares.
It's like the exact same.
I know. It's like almost this, it's almost exactly the same color. I guess if I make it a little bit darker. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Sweet. That looks great, man. These are awesome. There's also the checkerboard in there. So whether you use regular graphite pencil or you use color pencils, it's every other one is a color, is a dark. Dark light, dark light, dark light. It's just like a chessboard or a checkerboard. It helps describe the nature of the, it starts to show that there's like stuff inside the basket, which is nice. These are fantastic. All right, so you guys are like moving quick. I'm proud of you. So I'm gonna zoom back up. Hopefully we don't need much. We don't need much up in the sky. You could always add stuff in the sky if you wanted to. I'm gonna move it back down. So we're just gonna finish the ground. So in order to finish the ground, I need to pull this all the way down. I apologize. And we're gonna add flowers and we're gonna add grass and yeah, it's flowers and grass. And I guess there's a, is that a thermos? I guess it's a
up
thermos.
2 squares.
Can you square? Oh, thank you, Trevor.
I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there.
I see that.
It's extra piece.
Bingo.
Okay. Yes. All right, Holmes.
One of my favorite pieces.
You. I don't know what we should do next. I guess we'll probably do the grass next. So notice that the grass like makes an arc, like it comes up, hits the edge of the lip of the basket, and then hits the other lip of the basket, comes across, and then goes back down. So the key is to start with the known and move into the unknown. So this is, I'm going to use graphite. So I start from the lip, and then I'm going to build the grass coming down the side. My picture is going to end here. It's going to end here. I'm going to do the grass. It looks like they're just like gentle curves, but then some are like waves. These will feel like waves, but then they turn into like shark fins. So whatever you think looks like grass in your opinion, you're creating a symbol for grass. And the ultimate symbol for grass is green, but we're not really using that many colors right now. The rest is kind of, I mean, I don't want to say just like super like fun, but it is kind of fun. I mean, you can use a stem, one leaf on this side, one leaf on this side, beautiful pink blossom. You can add butterflies wherever you want. It's just like, I mean, I don't know how often you all have gone on picnics, but I don't go on picnics very often. And it looks like such a nice time. You know, like there's just something like nice about this scene where it's got the blanket, the food, the plate. There's that fork, which I don't think, this pink thing is supposed to be a fork. I might draw a better looking fork.
Is there a Frisbee anywhere in sight?
I know. We should get some other props. Feel free to lay in a lacrosse stick. Oh yeah.
That's my Frisbee.
Pull that a little bit down, Robert.
Brutal, we gotta roll.
I can't see. Hold on.
So you gentlemen
There's-
that are
There's-
leaving, thank you so much.
Turtle.
Hold that down a little bit, Robert, and
Nice frisbee,
closer
Robert.
to you. There we go. Thank you. Well done.
Hopefully this is a moment where you can kind of like make it
Benjamin,
your own. Excellent.
I like it.
There's little spots of grass on the inside.
Yeah.
Okay, we gotta fly.
Thank you,
guys.
Benjamin. Boys,
Um,
have a great
So,
week.
the guys they're leaving, thank you. It was fun. Thanks for letting us photograph your stuff. We'll see you next week. Those of you that are sticking around, we're gonna work on this for maybe like 3 or 4 more minutes, and we'll transition into just our own set of drawings.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
The nice thing about the flowers is that each flower is a little bit different. So try not to repeat. And the front flower here is kind of the same as this flower here, other than its colors. I guess the flower on the top right is the same as the one on the top left. I guess they're a little bit different, but they're pretty close. And depending on your patch of grass, the land, the size, size of your rectangle, you might need to put things in different places to make it look good.
Well, you know what I would definitely have at my picnic?
Yeah, what's that?
And I'm not suggesting that you add this, but I would have a gigantic bottle of bug spray. It would be a must for me because the mosquitoes love me.
I'll put a we usually get bug wipes. So this is a packet of bug wipes. Okay.
Do we want to do a 2-minute warning? Are we close to that time?
Yeah, I mean, I think
We're not quite yet.
pretty close to 2 minutes. I think I'm gonna color for a little while. Can I
Okay.
see where you all are? Like, I don't know. Where who Teddy, Brendan.
Anyone want to show?
Let me see what it looks like. So-
Teddy,
Wow, that's awesome. Oh wow. Okay.
hold that nice and still, Teddy. A little closer to you. There we go. Thank you.
These are great. Awesome. See,
And
I mean, a lot of times it's like a coloring book.
Henry,
too.
sorry
You
about that.
you don't have to color these in, but when you start drawing, once you get like a good drawing, it's like, well, there's nothing else to do besides color it. It's like once you're done, and this is a drawing class, so it's not really like a coloring class, but just like once you get a good drawing, I mean, the next phase is coloring it. So I instinctively myself, I just like to go to that phase because I like coloring. I like coloring so much. But I know that it's not exactly what this class is about. I just want to like prove that it's fun to color. I guess you don't need any convincing about that. The thing just like comes to life though, with these flowers and the petals of the stems. I don't know. It really does. Let's see. These are gorgeous. That's so nice, dude. All right. Good work. Really good work.
Declan, hold that nice and still.
And the
Nice.
light is so nice. I don't know what room you're in, but it's catching on that nice.
Yeah, it's very bright. Very nice.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you,
Actually,
Declan.
make it your own. Color some things in. You can darken some lines, add some more grass, add some more. You can add I don't know. You can just make it whatever you want. But really, 1 more minute on this. So I'm gonna color for 1 more minute. You guys could shade for 1 more minute. Some pink flowers. I don't know.
Hello.
Stacy Tucker feels like he's been being really patient lately with all these classes.
He just woke up from a nap, and he'll say hello to you guys really fast. If you guys want to say hi, he's here. Yeah. Hey, Tuck. Tucker.
How old is
Hi.
he now?
Well, his birthday was September 9th.
So he's a year.
Oh. No. September, I don't remember.
So he was born September 9th.
Yeah. He's 5 months old,
So cute.
right?
Yeah.
Guys, correct me.
Yeah, you
5
can-
months, about a little more than 5 months. Finn, hold that back a little bit toward you and up. There, a little higher up. Keep going, freeze it. Yes, got it. Finn,
keep
thank
looking.
you.
All right, boys, let's start a new one. Let's start a freshie. Let's try this one, which I think is actually, it'll be a nice follow-up from last week.
What is the F
And
font?
some of the,
F font is important because it's the only thing that's keeping.
sorry about that. Muting. Is this Clubhouse? Yes. Whoa. Maybe we should just do that. That's actually that could be actually a nice follow-up. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it here. Okay, so here's the scene. So I don't know if you guys have ever read George and Martha. This piece, the title of this piece is The Clubhouse. It's like the last story in the book. And like George is inside his like secret clubhouse. And then he's like, Martha's like, George is like, I'm going to my clubhouse. And Martha's like, can I come? And then he's like, no, you can't come. It's like private. You have to stay out. And she gets really mad. And so she starts like jumping up and down on like the clubhouse.
On the clubhouse?
Yeah. And she's like mad. Like, look at that face. Like that is one angry hippo. And then like George is inside. And then he finally like, lets her in. And it turns out that he has started the Martha fan club and he's the president.
Oh,
Then she like feels all embarrassed, and he's got the table and everything. Anyway,
excuse me,
yes,
Mr.
Dick.
Twist.
Yeah.
Do you know why George has a yellow tooth?
No, did that show up in one of the stories?
It showed up in several. I was simply wondering if you know all.
I don't know. So I have to admit, my mom didn't read this to me. She read it to my sister though. So like these are all stories that like my mom read to my sister, but not to me. I think they came out. I don't think they were out when I was like that age. I'm old. So.
Yeah.
All right, so boys, what I need you guys to do, and I can't do this because the book is so big. So what I need you all, and I'll do it. I'll try to do it as best I can. I need you guys to draw like a big square on your paper. We're gonna do this entire composition, which is awesome. We have time to do it. We'll do the palm tree. We have experience with the palm tree. We're gonna do section by section. But what I need you to do is to draw a square, because each one of these rectangles each one of these stories takes place inside of a square. So we have to basically build the stage set so that I can zoom in. And the picture's divided into two parts. There's the grass and then there's the sky. Okay, the grass comes up the hill. It starts at the bottom of the hill and it climbs to the top, and at the top is the clubhouse. So in the rest of the class, we have to draw Martha and the tree, George heading to the clubhouse, and then the clubhouse. So, in order for me to do that, I need to focus in on it. So like, notice that the hill comes up and it goes over, and then the clubhouse is at the top. So I'm going to start at the bottom. It climbs up to the top, and that's going to be the environment. So just to lay it out, this is where the tree is going to be with Martha. And then George is going to be in the middle of the hill. Don't do these shapes. I'm just trying to show you like the mountaintop. And then we'll build the clubhouse, which looks like basically a doghouse because it's like so small. But we have three things to draw. They're not hard, but they just need to be positioned in the right place. So as your picture should be a little bit larger, and then I will, zoom in and I will sketch. We'll sketch, Martha in the tree. Then we'll sketch George, and then we'll sketch we'll finish off with the top. We have basically like a half an hour So it's like about 10 minutes per drawing, and you'll get like a whole composition. You'll get like an entire page on here. We'll save the, you can save the flowers and the grass, like maybe towards the end or whatever, to like, you know, do these little details. The beauty is that we don't have to do their faces because Martha's face is hidden by the tree, and then George's face is facing away from us. So all we need to do is like the side of the face and a tooth. That's like all that we need to do on these faces. So again, hopefully what you've got is the, you know, the square, and then we've got the grassy knoll. And then down here is going to be Martha. In the middle is going to be George. And the top's going to be the architecture of the tree. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to start down here with Martha and the tree. Any questions? Hopefully not. All right, let's do this one. It's going to be great.
Holden, did you have something up? No. Okay.
Gonna be great. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. They're like the cutest little couple. Anyway, these stories, if you haven't read these stories, they're probably too childish for, you know, to like really enjoy them, but they have really nice, meaningful lessons, and the drawings are, you know, not, you know, they're not complex, but they're very well done. I have to admit that. Okay, let's do first things first. Let's do the tree. So we got to find out where the tree is in contact with the ground. And that's going to be right here. And then it's this general like curving rectangle. Look at that. So it's just a curving rectangle. Now, does the side have jagged edges? Yes. Are we going to detail that? Yes. But let's just block out the rectangle first. And then we've got one coconut, two coconuts, and then we have what we can basically understand as the palm tree. And each palm tree has the same component parts. It's got the middle of the palm, like the stem, and then the fronds that come off on the side. We sketched palm trees last week, so you should have a little bit of experience with this. Draw the middle, and then we'll draw the fronds. Middle, and then it's just like a leaf. There is a third, that's amazing. There is a third coconut. It's just hidden behind that leaf I just drew. I didn't even notice that. So that's kind of fun to notice things that you have not yet seen. Part of the reason you sketch stuff, whether it's nature or whether it's another artist's work, you always notice things that you would not have noticed unless you were drawing. I feel like I'm going fast here, but that's okay. Once you get the hang of one, you can crank out the rest. Like you get the angle of the center, and then I have my symbol, you know, my way of drawing the edges of this thing. So that's good. We've got that placed. Now, as far as drawing Martha, really she's got like a right side and a left side. And I think we should start with the easy part, almost like a snowman. We did the snowman last week. Let's stack her in her parts. So the first part will be her skirt. So we'll do the bottom of the skirt, which is parallel with the tree. And then we'll come up on the skirt on the other side. It's nice and wide. And, oh, I get it. Those were cherries on the blanket. On the blanket, they were cherries. It was like a pattern because I think Martha loves cherries. I guess that makes sense.
Ah.
So that comes in. We're gonna do the waistband as it comes across, and then we're gonna need we're gonna need the eraser. Sorry, but we do Martha's hand. She's holding onto the tree. She's got one finger, two fingers, three fingers. It's like the most simplified version of a hand I've ever seen in my life, but she is a hippopotamus. I've just noticed that the dress is bigger on the right side than on the left side. Interesting. And so therefore she's got more back. You don't see her left arm, the left side arm. This is the right side arm. All you really see is her belly, and then the bottom of her mouth, which turns into the snout. And so the way that Martha's nose, it's like a circle with a dot, and then there's a tooth underneath it, which is just a rectangle.
Please don't forget that tooth.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's like
Yeah,
very simple. Do you think this is
yeah,
the ear? Do you think that's on the right side? There's like an ear?
I do. Or it's
don't-
part of the
I don't, there's not-
head, the back of the head.
Yeah, well, she put a flower in her ear,
Skull.
that's for sure. Whether your drawing looks good or looks bad, it's hard to say at this point because it doesn't have details. We haven't finished the tree trunk. Well, we haven't done the dress. So like this is the part where I mean I'm voicing it because I have my own insecurities. I'm like, I don't know if this is good. Like it could be really bad. So I'm just gonna like take a deep breath and attempt to make it better. I have at least all of the elements. So I have the tree, I have the coconuts, I have the branches, I have the dress, I have her torso and her head and the little flower. So maybe the idea is that we do the tree trunk at this point. So there's a jagged edge on the side of the tree heading up. Pretty pointy. And then the same thing on the left side. How are we doing Stace on time? Got 4 minutes.
We're doing 2:16.
How does anybody know the exact time that you guys have to turn off your computers?
Leave it.
If anybody knows, I would love to hear it.
Chicken nugget.
Because I think last week we ended a little early from what was the time? Anybody?
Chicken nugget.
Okay, chicken nuggets it is.
Chicken nugget.
Chicken nugget, is that a time I'm just not aware of?
It's all good, yo. All right, I'm gonna keep going on the
Muffin.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so there's a texture on the tree that is actually very similar to the texture in the grass, and it seems to be staggered. And then the other thing that I'm noticing on this tree is that there's a lot of horizontal shading. So there's like, even though they're thin lines, there's a lot of them. I had not seen that before either.
The marks on the tree that you did before the horizontal lines also reminds me of the fronds and the grass marks a bit.
Definitely. That's what I was saying. The texture on the tree itself is almost the exact same mark making as the grass representation.
Oh, excuse me, Trevor.
Yeah,
Excuse
theme
me.
and variation.
Excuse me.
Let's
Excuse
do
me.
it. Let's get the let's do the dress. The dress has got details on it. There's some overlapping folds at the base, which I'm just recently now seeing. There's an indication that the dress is off the ground slightly because there's some shadow. So that's kind of nice. Putting in these horizontal marks, looking good. Wow, that is a super wide dress.
Want to hold that up again, Bruce?
I like those cherries. That looks so good. It's amazing, like when you just have like the little parts of the face indicated.
Nugget.
It's so funny. We're gonna do the cherries. All the cherries have the same representation. They're just like circles, and then they have like where the cherry stem was pulled out. So like, I mean, when I think about cherries, I usually draw them like this with like a little curving, almost like a little miniature, like a flat heart. But that's not how they do it in George and Martha. They're oval, they're circles with mini circles on the inside. Ooh.
I don't think I've ever seen a cherry drawn without the stem. That's new to me.
Depending on your dress, put the cherries where they look good. don't feel like, I mean, because everybody's dress is going to be different. So, therefore the cherries will be placed, differently. Oh my gosh, this is awesome.
And it's 2:19.
All right. Notice where you're probably going to have to erase where you put the line for the edge of the hill. And then you can put some grass indicating the edge of that hill. Slap, 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 slap. The cross hatching that's in the coconuts is great. So it's just like a crisscross. I'm gonna put like 3 little dots so you can emphasize the fact that it is in fact a coconut. There's a couple shadow lines in the trees. So this is going to be kind of like a 1-minute warning. There is shading where the skirt enters into the waist. There's some shadow. On the edges of the dress, there's some shadow. When I say shadow, I'm just meaning like parallel lines. The artist of George and Martha, uses the parallel line to indicate shade. There's no shade in the body. There is shade on the ground and on the tree especially. Ooh, there's some extra shadows on the side of the tree too. That's what I should have done. I should have made Martha gray.
We have less than a minute. If anybody wants to hold theirs up.
Anybody's feeling like a
Let's
big
see,
winner?
Declan. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want to just take your hand away. There you go. And move that toward your, yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Very nice, Declan.
All right. Frankly, I think George is going to go pretty quickly. So I'm going to get those red notes, which are kind of fun. One, 30 more seconds. My grass does not look like the right color grass, but the color pencils are across the room, so I'm gonna say green is good enough. Green is green. The green in the picture, it's more of like an olive green, where the green I have is kind of like a Kelly green, high intensity, it's slightly more yellow, definitely brighter.
Mine looks like she's in a cauldron.
Like she's in a cauldron?
Oh yeah, like the dress is like actually a like it's like a structure.
Mine looks like a literal muffin.
Yeah, it does look
Let's
like
see that, Henry. Yeah.
Mine looks like a muffin.
And hold that nice and still, Brendan. Very nice. Thank you.
All right,
Let
let me zoom out so that you all can get a handle on where George has to be placed. So here's our larger composition. So George has got to be about the same size as Martha. He can be a little bit smaller because he's going away from us and he's heading up the hill. Okay, so you can kind of like see this little shadow on the ground. Maybe when you're trying to place him, maybe just put where you want him positioned, maybe draw that shadow on the ground. And then we'll be working, you'll have him located in the right spot because it looks like it's just his tippy toe that touches the ground. Okay, let's go. Whew. That was awesome. This is getting better. We are gonna win. So the trick about this is to not make George too big, because I'm zooming in so you can see the detail, but make sure that he's not that much larger than Martha over behind the tree. In fact, he should actually be smaller. George is going to be easy because all he is he's basically like a big oval. It's like a big egg. He's got an egg. We're going to show his rear end and his tail, his 2 stubby feet, his stubby hands. And then it's just like Martha. It's just the side of the top, the side of the snout with a tooth. The hardest part here is his like hat. And the hat is 3-dimensional and it is pretty cool. So hopefully that goes well. All right, so my first move, like I said, is we're gonna attempt to start with the shadow, like where he is on the ground. Just putting a little bit of indication of the shadow. And then, I don't know, I mean, there's this part of me that wants to do his toes because they're so easy, like it's just his foot right there. But quickly, I really wanna get into the oval of his body. Find out how big this guy really is. All right. So we get the oval of his body, the back of his head.
Trevor? Trevor? Hey Siri, send text message to Trevor.
Hey, I don't know what happened.
Oh,
I got booted.
yeah, I was just sending you a text message.
No, thank you. It usually comes back on. But then as soon
That was really not that many people.
I get
You're back.
yeah, but it bumps me off of my camera.
Oh, he said noise.
There we go. All right, sweet. So the last thing I was saying is when you design the oval, the potato that is by the way, can everybody hear me at Gilman? Can I get like a thumbs up? Okay, cool. All right, so you've got the potato that is George's, figure. And then you just have to go around almost like a clock and figure out where everything is. So like around 11 o'clock is where the snout comes out. And he's got his tooth. And then around 9 o'clock, you see a little bit of his belly. Around 9 o'clock, you get his arm. And we've done the arm before. It's like the one finger is in front of the other finger, which is in front of the other finger. And that's his arm. And then all the way from 9 o'clock all the way down to the toe is his belly, which is the belly leads to 6 o'clock. So at the very bottom is the foot. And he is a hippo and he does have a little tail. It's triangular. And then from his rear end, it goes all the way up his back and connects into the back of his head. So basically from 6 o'clock all the way to 12 o'clock, it's just the round back of the potato of George. I'm gonna get this back heel, and those are and you barely even see that foot. Nice. I am very happy. You can actually tell it's watercolor. The way that the artist painted this, he's super gray. And I can even, there's not much to him. He's not wearing any clothes. All he's wearing is a hat. So he's just a standing hippopotamus, which is wild. The real artistic challenge of this piece is going to be the hat. And the hat is actually not that hard to draw. So if you guys are working on anything else, maybe just like stop for a second and I'll show you how to draw the hat. The way that you begin is where the hat, Stacy, I think somebody's showing. You can take a picture of that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Little small on my end. Can you go a little closer?
Bruce. That's great.
Good job.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So the back of the hat actually has a part that's cut out for the neck. And I think this is based on some kind of like French military hat. I don't know. I mean, I don't even know, but you see at the base of it, there's this curve. Then it's going to come out to the side where there's going to be a tassel, a golden tassel. And then it comes out to this side at the bottom where there's another golden tassel. Then, like a horseshoe, that golden tassel angles in, and then we're going to do this rounded part. It's almost like a bell. I shouldn't have said that. It's really a bell. So you have the base, which goes tassel, tassel, and then the top portion of the hat is a bell that curls up. And the kicker of this thing is that all you have to do is like pop it into the third dimension, just put a tassel at the top, and then thicken the one side. It's like that easy. So we kind of instantly made it three-dimensional just by drawing the larger back plane. This is all the back plane here. And then we repeated the one side to suggest the third dimension. George. Oh, that hat is so funny. Is that an eye? Oh my gosh. Is that George's eye right there? That's fun.
I think so.
I think it might be too. It might even show his ear hanging down a little bit as well.
I believe so.
I think it is an eye.
An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, George.
He's definitely got a tooth.
A
And
tooth, yeah.
And that tooth would be pretty valuable too. It's probably solid gold. Where's a good red? Pretty close. So guys, I'm just doing this red for effect, just to kind of set. I mean, the colors are kind of nice to do. And as you all are catching up, yeah, just sketching a little bit of grass is fun as well. So again, we've got the main oval of the mass of his body, and then you just go around and all the parts are like sticking off of that original circle. So we got two legs sticking off the bottom. We have an arm sticking off this side. We have his snout off the top. And then to cap the whole thing off, he's got this, this hat. Can I see a George? Anybody do a George? Hopefully these went pretty well. I can't tell. I can never tell whether it's going to be easy or hard.
Declan,
Yeah.
hold that further away from the screen and
Excellent.
freeze it.
Yeah, I think that's
Thank
Declan up there. Declan, don't forget this second foot. You got this back foot that's like super small. I guess you probably, if he was stepping forward, you probably wouldn't need it, but it's in the picture, so I just want to point it out. That looks good too. Yeah,
Ted,
that was good. Could you get a little closer, Ted?
Ted, hold that a little closer to your head.
Oh, the screen cut out.
Oh, you know what? Right. My screen cut out. Let's see.
Oh yeah,
Teddy,
and
I'm
you did.
trying.
Excellent. You did that house too. The house
Finn,
is
hold that up a little bit up, Finn. There we go. Ted, I'm going to try to get back to you.
Finn, great job. We'll be able to add details to that house too. I know you're pretty far along. I'm actually unsure about how to do the house. What's the best way to start it, but we'll figure it out. Oh, I think I know. This will be it's 2:34. So let's do one more minute on George here. If you want, you guys can, I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see some of the details. If you have finished, you can sketch some flowers or some grass or like little details. You can shore it up. And then the last part will be the clubhouse at the top, which there's no reasonable way to think that he would be able to fit inside of that house.
Yeah.
And it's like 100 miles away. And that is part of the charm. The part of the charm of the illustration is how things don't necessarily make exact sense.
Well, I must say this is a happy hippo, George. Is looking quite happy.
There's even shadow. There's even shadow for the flower. That's so cute. But George is casting a little shadow on the ground, and then so is this little flower there. I love that the artist does consider the sky. Believe it or not, the artist does at times will do participants. Sorry, I gotta let Zach in here. They'll do like a night sky, and they'll do like a moon, or they'll even put they'll put a sun in there. Okay, it's 2:35. Let's try the clubhouse. I will actually zoom in, but I'll keep the clubhouse and George in there. So in case you guys didn't finish, you can look at both of them. I think that'll be better. Poor Martha, we got to crop her out of the picture. All right. All right, boys, let's finish strong here. This is going to be good. I might draw my clubhouse a little bit larger just so y'all can see it. And Zach, I don't know if you were here the whole time or whatever, but we're starting to sketch the clubhouse. So even if you did just come in, you know, we're kind of at the beginning, at least of that. So what we're going to need to do is we have, there's basically 4 parts to the house. There's the wall that has the window. There's the front of the house that has the door. And then there's the roof. The roof overhangs both the side wall and the front of the house, which is like kind of like a little bit tricky. So that's the only kind of hard part about this drawing, is like getting that roof to like hang out over it. So I've got my little hill. So let's just do the wall first with so I'm going to start with the front corner of the house. I'm going to set up a vertical, and then I'm going to come up and to the right ever so slightly, and then I'm going to do this back wall. So when you draw architecture, boys, cartoons are a little different, but all architecture, and as a rule of thumb, every vertical is always a vertical. So when buildings go back in space, the roofs might be angled funky, the bases might be angled funky. Verticals are always straight up and down. You can use the edge of your paper as a guide. You know, so this angle of the base goes up and to the right. The base goes of the front wall of the door side goes up and to the left, but the front of the wall, the side of the wall, and then the corner of the wall are all vertical lines. And it's just like a nice thing to like know about drawing architecture. It's like it eliminates so many ways of making mistakes. We'll get into that later, you know, as we get into architecture as we go. All right, so let's do this roof, how it overhangs. We'll do the lip. It overhangs both the back and the front. And then we got to get the A-frame. You know how it's like roof ceilings are A-frame ceiling. So we're gonna go A-frame on the front, and then repeat that angle for the back. And then this line is pretty well parallel. So I don't know if you can see that, but I actually made my up higher. All right, so you're gonna see the front where the wall connects with the rooftop. So we can do that here. So you can like just show how that lip of the roof comes out further. So, I mean, this is not architecture 101, but I'm telling you, the artist knows how to draw well. So it's not this is something that you would use even if you were doing architecture. So that was the part. We got the wall, and I'll just make sure you know it's a wall by putting in a window. And then that window's got support beams. Feeling good about that. We've got a door. Let's do the handle first, because you can tell that the handle like is in front. So do the handle, the knob, the turning part, the rectangle, And then we'll attach that to a door. And obviously there's no way. Keep out. There's no way that George's gonna fit into that thing. And my handle's
His
ridiculous.
hat.
My
His
handle,
hat
my
would
handle
fit.
is ridiculous, but like so is the house. So like if it's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. It
Push
does
your
look.
chair.
And
Push your chair.
are you guys getting close to leaving, by the way? I think it might be getting close to time. Let's see if we can crank this out. And then if you guys do finish, so we got to put in textures now. You have the roof texture, the wall texture, and there's like side panels. I met this dude who sells vinyl siding. He went to my school, and I like want to talk to him about what that's like. He sells a lot of vinyl siding. Anyway, you can think about this house as having vinyl siding. And
It's
there
now,
are horizontal lines. And it just makes it feel like it could be wood, you know, it could be vinyl. The roof top has wider planks and actually has nail indications. So the roof is nailed in. It's nice that it gives it some extra, you know, some points, some different marks.
I like that detail.
It's a nice detail, attention to detail. It's good. There's
And
this little
it's just so you know, 241.
I mean, can is it go to 245 or does it go to 250? I feel like people are already dropping off.
Does anyone know if this goes, what time this might go till?
2:45.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. So it's 241, maybe at 243. You know, consider this thing done, and then I'd love to see. I'll stop the share, and then we can look at it. I'll try to zoom out a little bit so you guys can detail the whole. Actually, there wouldn't even be any of those in there. Maybe not. Looks like the door is the same color as the hat. I'm
Mhm.
gonna make it the color.
And if anyone is finished and would like to show, feel free to do so. Oh, I'm so funny.
Nice.
Oh, hold that up. Just, oh, very nice.
If you make it a little closer to the
You hold
camera.
that up. Very nice, Ted.
All right, y'all. I will see you next week.
Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Stace?
Mr. Twist.
Yeah. You're welcome, Stace. Did you get any drawings? Can I see what you did?
Yeah, well, I actually need your help.
Ooh, one
Oh.
more shot. Yeah.
Hold
nice.
on, Declan. A little closer to you, Declan, and freeze it.
Yeah. Good show, bro.
Very
Good job.
nice. Nice
Excellent.
composition. Yeah, I need your help, Trevor.
Yeah, will you show it to me?
Sure. I don't understand what I'm doing here. If I have it right, I don't see it.
Yeah, I think you do. You have it right until the back tail. The back tail is just too thick. In theory,
You mean
the snake-
here?
No, the immediately after
Where?
the spiral.
Here.
Nope, to the right of that. That up higher. The next hump. The second
one?
hump. Yeah, the second hump is a little too thick, but you can't come back from it, because it's already done. So I would, or maybe you could come in from the bottom. Maybe make the bottom. a
Oh,
little
so it tapers widest from
yeah, front to
to,
back.
right, but I don't understand. I'm really visually lost here. Are you saying I'm okay here?
Yeah, I think it is okay. The weird thing is
Okay.
that you have to like get the X-ray vision. So you have to like connect the inner part of the spiral, connect it to the back of the snake. And it actually is going to curve and it's going to dip down and then dip back up again in order for that to make sense. Stacy, I don't know if I told you this, but I started another Zoom class at 3:00. So
Oh, did
so
you?
you'll be able to go from 3 until 4. Are you up for it?
Oh my God.
Are you up for a whole nother hour?
Are you kidding? I'm like,
Swear to God. I swear to God.
yeah, but I gotta get him out. So goodbye.
Yeah, I got to go to the bathroom too. I'll just be here.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wrote down all of the times you planned, and then
And how they conjuncted, how they matched up.
react like how it played out.
Yeah. Let's go over that in a second. But
Okay.
go
I
get the
have to
dog.
take him
I gotta
out.
I gotta go to the bathroom too.
Okay, bye.
See you
All right.
soon.
Talk. All right, Tucky Tuck. You gotta go, baby boo. Yeah. That's my boy. That's my boy, huh? Are you ready? Are you ready? He's a good boy. This is such a good boy. Yes, you are. All right. You will eat all the mulch. Don't you? Okay. Let's go, boo. You are ready. Here, sweetie. Okay, baby boo. Let's see.
Oh, goodness. Yoo-hoo!
All right, Trevor, be back in just a minute.
What?
Doing a Trevor.
What?
Out of there. You don't belong there, ew. Come on, out. Okay, come. Your water. Come.
I wish this wasn't so. Stacy, you there? Hey, what's up, guys? Hey.
Hi.
Oh. It's so fun.
Hi.
It's so fun to see you guys on Wednesday. It feels like it's like Saturday morning.
Yes.
But it's great to see you guys. All right. So do you guys have your colors?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yes. All right, cool. So Stacy's here. She's going to be joining us in a little bit. Yes, Michaela, fantastic. Okay, good. Yeah.
Next Wednesday, can we do some characters from Scooby Doo?
Sure. Let me write that down.
Okay.
We might even be able to do one this week. We're gonna do some characters from George and Martha. Do you guys know George and Martha?
No.
No. George and Martha is they're two hippopotamuses. They're two like cartoon hippos, and they're like best friends in the whole world. And they get into like these little adventures together. They're really cute. But before then, I wanted to draw a couple of these patterns just to like get started. They're made to look like stitching and embroidery. And they're just really gorgeous. And I think they're going to be like kind of simple to sketch. It's weird when there's something is like kind of on the easy side, yet it can be like so beautiful. So anyway, I'm always like moved by how simple sketches can, like look so, just look so beautiful. So I have like a couple of these. So they're like embroidered blossoms. So let's start. Is everybody with me? Let's do this. Let's start from like this point. So there's like kind of like a separation point between, the blue petals and then like the green petals. And maybe it might be best to start with the green petals because it's like right in the middle. So let's just go down and, there's going to be a right side and there's going to be a left side. And, you could put these, when you make these marks that go sideways, they're going to be almost like, you want to almost imagine that you're stitching because even though it's a drawing, it's made to look like it was stitched into a jacket or like a piece of cloth. And then we'll do 2 smaller ones, one on the right and then one on the left. So each one of these leaves just consists of like one curve, like one kind of gradual curve that meets at a point and then another one that meets at a point. I might even try to think about the stripes as being green already. And my green isn't the same green, but that's okay. Green, there's nothing like that says leaf better than a green mark. So Stacy, welcome back. We were
Well,
looking
thank you.
Aren't these really pretty?
This is lovely.
Yeah, I think so too. It's basically kind of a folk embroidery, and
Yes.
it's just like kind of repeated shapes. So, Jacob, if you can get like if you can draw one leaf, then you can draw the whole thing because they're just the same ideas repeated. So if you can draw the one that angles down, you do one that angles to the right, and then the blue is just like so pretty. I can't even believe it. So the 2 bottom ones are kind of big, then the middle ones are a little bit smaller. I guess maybe there's just 2 big ones on the bottom and 3 of the same size at the top. So there's
That's what it looks like.
1 big one and then 2 big ones. That's the fun thing about it. It's like I made that one like really big. I don't care. It's like it's just a piece of embroidery. So it's almost better that the one side matches the other. It doesn't matter whether they're too big or too small. So let me add the blue so you can kind of tell. These
On my
the stitches are almost like stripes. It's almost just like doing stripes. And I guess if you were to stitch it with real embroidery, they would just make it look stripy. Ooh, I dropped my pencil. So then I'll do 2 more. I'll just stack them on top. 1 and then 2. Mine's a little bit bigger. I don't know. I think it's okay. And we'll do 1 in the middle. Do some stripes on this side. Stripes on that side. So this is just a warm up. This is just to like get us thinking about mark making. Do stripes. The stripes can be straight lines, or you can put like a little curve to them maybe. I mean, I look at it and I see like there's a little curve. One thing that I hadn't noticed, and I'm not exactly sure what it is, but do you see how there's like an orange frame to some of them.
Mhm.
Maybe there's like a little stitching. There's like this orange side, and it happens on the tips of these. I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna think about it.
Trevor,
The color of the,
it looks like a
go ahead, Jacob.
It looks like a what?
Yeah.
A sponge.
It does. It looks like it. Yeah. I mean, it looks like you could clean the kitchen with this thing. Or you mean a sponge at the bottom of the ocean?
A sponge in the kitchen.
Kitchen
In the
step.
kitchen, yeah.
It does look like a sponge. Mine looks different than his. It looks cool. I mean, it looks pretty. Mr. Messick, are you in the house? You don't have to put.
Hello,
Okay,
Mr.
Just want to make sure you're there. All right, so I don't know what's going on with these, but I am going to put the orange in. Does this orange work? I think it's supposed to represent like the thickness to the embroidery. You know, if you think about, stitching a patch onto a shirt or something, there would probably be like an edge. So whether it's a part of it or not, I'm not exactly sure, but it makes it makes a nice color accent. And it's on the right side of this one. It's on the top side of this one. This is on the right side of everything except for this last one down here.
I'm done.
Let's see.
You're
Bryce.
done. Take a
Can you
look.
get a little closer. Stacy's taking pictures.
Jacob.
Whoa, awesome.
And I like the
1,
stripes
2,
that you
3,
did as
4, 5,
well.
6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's great. You got it all.
Very nice, Jacob.
Do you guys see that there's a
This
little bit
makes
of
me think of spring.
Oh my gosh, spring is so close to springing.
And Easter and my mom's birthday. It's on the 4th. It's on the 17th.
Of April or March?
Oh,
March.
Wow, my sister's is on the 13th.
Oh,
she's in California.
right before Pi Day.
Yes, good call. Day before Pi Day. Okay, I'm gonna color these in, and then I think we'll start one more, and then we're gonna switch. We're gonna switch over to George and Martha, and we're gonna sketch some. It's gonna be definitely a little bit different, but we're gonna get to use colors. Where did I find that? Would you guys be okay with drawing bunny rabbit slippers?
oh, that's
Yes.
My dad has this.
Okay, I think we'll draw some bunny rabbit slippers. There's also a picture. Oh, that could work. What about a beach and a surfing?
My dad has bunny slippers. He's getting them right now.
oh, good.
Well, we'll compare these bunny slippers with
My mom has a stuffed bunny and she got it for Christmas.
Christmas.
Nice.
Christmas this year or years past?
The month before, I mean the Christmas before the Christmas before the Christmas before that is
Cool.
when
Wow, that's a few Christmases ago.
She's had it for a
Yeah.
while. That's nice. Michaela, before I keep going, can I see your picture before are you getting pretty close? I can kind of see it from here. It looks great. It's beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
So we'll give it we'll
Thank
give it a
you.
minute. We'll give you a minute or two. You can finish the green leaves. Nice
Brooks,
job.
hold that nice and still.
Looks great.
Very nice. Very nice. You know, the petals remind me, since you said it, it makes me think of bunny ears.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be a perfect segue.
Speaking of which, oh my God.
Oh my God. That
Oh
is
my gosh,
too
are they,
much, man.
they must be amazingly comfortable.
All right, I think we're
Oh,
gonna have
so
I think we're gonna have to go. We're gonna have to go
Thank
straight to
you.
the bunny ears, and then we'll come back to this one. It's gonna be so funny.
Can I show you my picture?
Yeah. Well, Michaela's finishing up. Let's see what you got. I'm glad
Oh,
you
you did the
glad
background
you
with the
did-
sun.
Yeah, that background's great. Good work. Good work, Jacob. All right. So we're gonna put the bunny ears off for one project, and we're gonna keep doing the embroidery. We have one more embroidery thing, and Michaela, we're gonna start the other embroidery thing, and the only thing that I think I'm recommending is that you just go smaller on the second one. You'll be able to draw it a lot faster if you go smaller. Okay, here we go. This one's got some similar colors. It's like, oh, sorry, almost there. Yes. So this one is a little bit more challenging, but it's not really. It's actually not that bad. As long as you start from the middle and move out. So I'll show you what I mean by the middle and move out. Move this over. That looks good. All right, cool. Michaela, yeah, just you can keep finishing, just like, oh my gosh, you finished. Nice.
Go ahead and hold
Great.
that up, Michaela. Love to see it. Very nice. I'm glad you finished it.
So
Beautiful.
pretty. All right, I'm gonna make mine on the same sheet. See how it's on the same piece of paper? I'm gonna slide this over. Mine are pretty small. All right, that looks good. Okay, let's start it up, boys and girls. I think one of the most challenging parts about this whole thing is getting the fact that it has three purple petals. So just start with a circle, and that's going to be the that's like the middle. I made mine a little bit smaller. So I was thinking in my head, like, how should I draw this? So how do you get like 6 equal petals? You could kind of like, there's the petals on the right, like if you think about the middle, you could do one petal that goes from the, exactly sideways on both sides. And the petals look different than the ones we just drew. So let me just make it purple so you guys can see it. So that's going to be one, that's going to be the other. And then if you put a line at the top and the bottom, that's going to be the start of the second petal. So you get 2 up here at the top. And then you'll get 2 here at the bottom. But the key here is that you work from having done the sideways ones first. That's like my opinion. Yeah, Mr. Messick.
Can I do 4 petals?
Yeah, you can do 4 petals. I mean, you can always make as many petals as you want. It's just getting 6 was like kind of the challenge for me. And so the way I figured it out in my head was to do the sideways ones first, and then I had 2 at the top and 2 at the bottom. If you do 4, then all you have to do is do 2 sideways ones. And if you made the sideways ones too big, then you would definitely want to only do 4. Like do 2 sideways ones and then 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom. Hey, Kristen.
Hi.
So I love these. There's something about the theme of 6. I love 6 petaled flowers. Pretty. It's 3 and 3. And then And the other way, and then Mr. Messick, if you have 4 petals, then the petals in between those 4 petals, it'll make 8 petals. So in a weird way, by me drawing the 6, I will make round ones in between. So I have these blue-green ones in between each one of my purple ones.
And are they the same height as the purple flowers?
They look like it, don't they?
I don't
They're
know.
just the color is so different. But the size looks almost exactly the same, doesn't it? Just like they're overlapped.
Yeah, I just don't know.
And then the leaves, once you get the, let me do the yellow in the middle. So started with the circle and the yellow circle. And then out of that yellow circle, I made 6 leaves, 2 on the side, 1 on one side, 1 on the other, and then 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. That's how I got my 6. And then if you did 4, you did 6, you did 8, you did 5, it doesn't even matter. In fact, I'll just draw it up here. Like, say I did one that had 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can still, no matter how many you choose, you can still put leaves in between. So I can do these triangle leaves in between. Or I guess they're not leaves, they're petals. And so I'll just draw another one up here. Mr. Messick was like, oh, I'll do 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can do leaves between these, or petals between these. And it's more of that you have like, you know, the ones that come out from the actual center, and then you have the ones that are behind that. That's what I'm like kind of interested in.
Huh.
Sorry for the sound effects, but I make sound effects when I color sometimes.
I read
Especially when
that
there's things that are
somewhere.
moving. So I just made, just because I'm not bored, because I'm like anything but bored. I'm just like, my brain's moving so fast. I made the same flower with the first one had 6 petals, the next one had 5 petals, and then the last one had 4 petals. So you can make your flowers however you want. In theory, I guess you can make, ooh, that'd be interesting. You could, if you had 3 and then did the ones in between, then you get 3 and then 3. That's cool. I can't wait to draw these bunny ears. They're so cute. The ones in my picture. The ones that you had, Mr. Messick, are cute, but these ones, the ears stand up on the ones in the drawing. They like stand straight up in the air. We have like in each one of the corners, there's 4 corners, and you get a green leaf in each corner. So the way that you do the leaf is you find the center, and then you put a little arrowhead at the top. So the leaf comes out of your flower, and then you put a little triangle tip at the end, almost like it's an arrow. Yeah, make it like an arrow. And then this one will disappear behind that flower. And that arrow, I guess it could be a little bit more curvy. I should have made my arrowheads a little curvy. Yeah. And then you go 1 leaf jagged, 2 leaf jagged in, 1 leaf jagged, 2 leaf jagged to the center. 1, 2 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 to the center. And since I have my colored pencils, I'm gonna ooh, I didn't discuss that. Look at there are the stripes on here, just like the other.
Trevor,
Yeah,
I'll show you my pic.
show it to me, dude. Ooh, move it closer. You move it closer to the camera. Man, your color is so
Nice.
bold. It's really beautiful. As you use the green to color the leaves, you may want to try to make the leaves about the same size. They don't have to be exactly the same. But
Excuse
you
me.
can make them. Yeah, Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
I just made a huge mistake and I think it ruined the whole thing.
Ow.
The leaves are not good
Um,
at all.
Oh, it's interesting. Okay, so they're not good. So the
Sad.
way that you won, the way that you're winning, is that they're all the same. It's almost like I care less that how they look, is that they're all consistent. That's what I'm kind of going for, is consistency. But the way that I drew this one, see this one on this side, I basically made it look like a Christmas tree. So it had this top here, and then it had like shark fin spikes. You see the shark fin spike? That's how I showed you how to do it, and you copied it. So like, if you're gonna blame anybody, blame me. At least you did them all the same. The way that I think they actually sketched them, instead of shark fins, they were curving. Each one of the limbs
Ah.
of like curvy, and that's my fault. So it's like curve on one side, curve on the other. That's just like the difference
Jacob,
between.
excuse me.
I wouldn't.
Brooks, I did the
wouldn't
exact
trust that.
same thing.
Well, that's the way I did it on this one. That's my point. My point is that like I did it that way. So it's not like it's wrong. I mean, you could erase it. I mean, that's why God made erasers. I mean, you can erase it and then resketch it if you want. That's the other thing. These are drawings. This is like a warm up, so it's on like the simpler side. So even if you just like put that piece of paper aside and started new, it's like just draw it again. It doesn't. They don't take that long to draw.
Yeah, mine look like Christmas trees.
Yeah, mine does too.
It's okay, right? Right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, if we're looking at this woman's work, how'd you do, Michaela? I think it's interesting that I combine on the Zoom. Yeah, those are gorgeous. I love those little. I love that variation. Those petals are so.
And I
good.
love the little girl swing.
I was
Hold
like,
that little further away from the screen, Michaela, so I can get the whole page. Michaela, can you hear me?
she froze. It's just her.
Okay.
Oh, there
we go. Michaela, you want to hold that a little closer to yourself, a little further from the screen.
There you go.
A little further.
And Michaela,
Thank you.
I made the suggestion to make it smaller, and then you made it bigger, and you did it faster. It's like fantastic. Good job. Good job. All right. It looks like this picture looks like there's like wood in the background, which is kind of interesting. I think that's where Jacob was working on that in the last one. We could add something that looks. Oh, I didn't even realize that. There must be a little bit of a border. There is orange border. Okay, let me pull out my orange again. Looks like there's orange on the side. The Christmas tree leaves above them, above on this side. It is a nice, a little bit of dimension. It's a nice touch. And I didn't really notice this before, but the middle of the leaves, the middle of the green leaves, it's a pretty dark line, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
It's a good sketch though. Real good sketch.
Yeah, and I'm also seeing that there's a little bit of that orange on the outside, some of the outside petals.
You're right. Yeah, there's ones in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, dude, that looks great. Looks great.
Let's
You
take
know
a
what it
look.
almost reads like? It almost reads like holly, which I like even more. I love holly. Holly is like one of my favorite plants, period. Mainly because it reminds me of
Was
Christmas.
that Jacob or Brooks that I missed?
Mr. Messick, yeah. He's still working on it though.
Okay.
2 minutes, party people, and then we'll start those slippers, those magical white slippers.
Yay.
Let's see that. Oh, nice.
It's gonna be a
Really
nice,
nice.
it's gonna be a good. Oh God, Stace, I don't think we were recording. That's a bummer.
Oh, I didn't know you.
We are.
It
Oh.
is recording.
It is okay. Oh my
I see the
God.
red dot.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I didn't think you had ever turned it off.
It's been recording the whole time between
I
classes.
thought so. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's cool. I'll have to watch that video. I wonder what happened in between. I was like, I was like eating lunch. Yeah, these look great. Those two fit on the page really nicely. Yeah, there's a side of me that wants to keep going with these, but we have to take a break and we have to sketch these slippers because they're just so funny. All right, it's 3:30. Take one. Yeah, I gotta switch it. Are you okay to switch it, Michaela? Do you mind? Okay, cool. All
I'm
right, so
done anyway.
here's George and Martha. Let me get the book in here. All right, so this is the whole page. I don't know what's going on in the story. Let me find out what's going on in the story. I'll just read the story really quickly. They're super short. Okay, this is story number 3. It's called The Trick. And said, let me put the screen. All right, why is it not? It says, George was fond of playing tricks on Martha, but that was not Martha's idea of fun. And when she found her house slippers nailed to the floor, she was not amused. These are the slippers that are nailed to the floor.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
I mean,
my gosh, they really are bunny slippers, just like Mr. Messick's father's.
that's what I'm saying. These are like real. They're hilarious. Okay. Martha gave George the old silent treatment. Oh no, said George, not that. George decided to bake Martha's favorite cake. This will butter her up, he said. And when the cake is done, George put it in a box. And he went and looked for a pretty ribbon. Okay, so this is George in the house, George making the cake, George finished the cake, and this is George putting it in the box, and he's going to look for the ribbon. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but Martha's outside, and she probably knows something is going on. All right, so there's George and Martha. Martha's got George has got the gold tooth, and Martha's got the
Flower.
like the flower in her hair. Okay, George goes, I have a surprise for you. And then Martha says, it's another trick. He goes, not this time, said George. She goes, well, then you open it, said Martha. And George said, very well, I will. Martha bit her nails while George pulled the ribbon. Out jumped
Sounds like you just pulled the ribbon.
Out jumped a rubber tarantula, 1 stuffed snake, 4 plastic spiders, and 2 real frogs. Ah, George cried. I've been tricked. And by the way, said Martha, the cake was delicious. So Martha, I guess, got revenge. because her slippers got nailed to the floor. That's the story. And like these stories are like super short, and that's it. But like I said, the drawings seem kind of simple, but this artist has made like millions of dollars selling these books. I mean, George and Martha are like staples, and they sell like a ton of them. I know. It's amazing. You got to
I've
come up
read
with a really good children's book.
Written by this author.
You what?
I've read another one of these books written by the author.
Let's see who the author is.
You did?
James
It's
Marshall.
Fox or something. It wasn't George. and-
James Marshall. Did he also do yeah, I've got another book by him, I think. I don't know where it went. Anyway. Okay, let's draw these things. Let's draw these slippers at least. Move my eraser. It's out of the way. Put it up here. Zoom in. Sorry, I find this so amusing. We got a fresh piece of paper. All right, so what I was saying, well, I don't think actually maybe I even said it. What my thought was is that I don't think the slippers are that hard to draw. The trick, I think, is going to be making both slippers like almost exactly the same, because it's like one foot, like left foot, right foot. So I don't know if you can tell, but the left foot is overlapping the right foot. So this is the right side, this is the left side. So let's start first with the one that's on our right, and then we'll do it. So like, let's start with the triangle. So I'm going to start with the triangle for the nose. And the size of the triangle is going to determine like the whole rest of the slipper. So the way that the bunny rabbit's face goes is that you've got a cheek on the right, and you've got a cheek on the left. And it's kind of like a circle. The rabbit's got this cute little chin. Honestly, like cats are kind of drawn the same way. So remember, we're not drawing a bunny rabbit. We're drawing slippers that look like a bunny rabbit. And that's like a little bit different. There's two little bit different things. Okay, so you got the nose, you got a cheek on the right, you got a cheek on the left, and you got to get the little chin underneath. Oh my gosh. Do you have whiskers? You need 4 dots that
done.
represent the
No, I
All right, do
don't.
4 dots that represent the whiskers on the right. Then we'll do 4 dots that represent whiskers on the left. And then the eyes are just 2 teeny little dots above the triangle. So we've got eyes and we've got whiskers. Now we need to do the ears. So we'll do just like the, what was it called? Just like the piece that we just made. The leaves, just like the leaves. We got a curve, we got one side that's curved and the other side that's curved. The ears are in front of the rest of the head. So we got to do the top of the head, which is an arc up here. And then we do the side of the head there. Now we've got the face of our slipper. Now we have to put the part that actually is the shoe part. So the side of the slipper runs this way before it disappears underneath Martha's dress. To make the slippers feel like they're fluffy, there's a bunch of tick marks that the artist puts in the ears to make it look like they're furry ears. It's not bad. And the only color that you need is the nose. All right, so here's the challenge. Jacob, this is the tough part. Basically, shoes are exactly the same size because our feet are exactly the same size. So how are we going to do this? Well, let's do the bottom of the shoe is going to turn into one cheek. And then we'll do another round part for the other cheek. And then we're going to put a triangle for the nose, but you want to make sure that that triangle is almost exactly the same size. I guess it could be a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, but as close to the same size as you can. And then we'll do the chin, same size chin, 4 dots for the whiskers on the right, 4 dots for the whiskers on the left, 2 teeny dots for the eyes above the nose. Boom.
That is one very cute nose.
It is, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure he has a little bit of a forehead. And then we'll draw the, oh no, it's not going to fit on the paper. So in order for my ears to match, they don't fit on the paper. Wonder if I could drop it down.
Can you
a
put
little.
another? Yeah.
I can. Does it still fit? Yes, just barely.
Perfect. Let's see. Yeah.
Just barely.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so lucky. All right, I'm going to complete this ear. I'm going to complete this ear. Boom, boom, boom. Little furry ticks, furry ticks. Oh, look at Martha's yellow dress. Too much, man. Look at that yellow
Like the
dress.
stitching on it.
Oh, I didn't notice the stitching. Not only that, that yellow, that's a better yellow. Well, her dress has got 2 colors on it now. 2 different yellows. One is like perfect and the other is not so perfect. Stitching. Stitching on the skirt. Stitching on the skirt. That's pretty good.
Yes, indeed. I would have to agree with
Jacob,
you.
Jacob, I just finished mine. I just finished it. Can I see yours? There's a little bit. Whoa. Where's the rabbit?
Nice, Jacob.
We move the rabbit a little closer. Look at that thing.
There we go. Got it.
Look at those slippers.
It's a flower having bunny slippers on.
Oh, there we go.
It all makes sense now. All right. So what was I going to say? These there's a little bit of shadow on the ground, so there's wherever there's a contact point, wherever something touches, you put a cup on a table or you put a a foot on the ground, for example, here, you can always add a little bit of shadow on the ground. A little shadow underneath her dress. Are those floorboards? What? Oh, they are floorboards. Is she standing on the floor? There's even a rug back there. Mr. Mesa, can I see your, how your, I know that you have some experience living with bunny rabbit slippers. Did it improve your drawing? Take your time. Michaela, can I see yours?
How are you doing, Michaela?
I didn't draw bunny slippers, and I only drew one.
You just did a bunny? I mean, you can't argue that. Oh my, that is wonderful.
Very sweet.
Cool. Yeah.
I like the whiskers too.
Yeah, I like your bunny way better than these bunnies. See, there's a bunny in the in this book I'm looking at right here. I don't think we'll draw that one. All right, I think we have time for one more drawing, maybe. I don't know, unless we can squeeze two in there. Oh, that's what I wanted to do. Are you guys up for drawing a beach?
Yeah.
Let's draw a beach with a big wave, and then we might be able to add a palm tree to it if we're lucky.
I know how to make trees.
You do know how to make trees?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, this is what the palm tree might look like. But I don't know if we're gonna have time to put the palm tree on there. Is everybody ready for me to move to switch pictures? I know you are, Jacob. But Mr. Messick, how about you?
Michaela, that was a thumbs up. Got
That's a
it?
thumbs up. Yes. All right, so this is the piece. This is honestly, this might be my most favorite piece in the entire book.
Can you please read the story?
I'll read the story, yeah. Okay, so here we go. The story is, oh, let me zoom out. Story number 4, The Job. And that's George sitting in the lifeguard chair. He's got a little umbrella, protect him from the sun. Although I think hippos can stay out in the sun most of the time. Okay. Zoom out further. You'll be able to see the whole thing. Okay, there it goes. You can see the whole thing now. There's George in the chair, Martha's in a swimsuit. Okay, George was excited about his new job. It's hard work, said Martha. You must be very strict. George said, I'll try. No horsing around is allowed, said Martha. He goes, thanks for the advice. That's what friends are for, said Martha. Very soon, George saw that someone was disobeying the rules. He said, no horsing around, he called with the megaphone. It's all right, shouted Martha. It's only me. And George goes, you heard me. Settle down. George meant business, and he gave Martha quite a brawling out. Well, said Martha, I thought we were friends. Oh, dear, said George. Martha was right. This is a hard job.
Oh dear, look at the megaphone.
She must have stuck it right on his mouth. That's the story. This last story is actually pretty sweet. Do you want me to read the last one? All right, and then we'll go back.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back and we'll read and we'll like draw the waves. Okay, the last story. And I know that this is super true. All right, this goes, the last story. The title of the story is The Book. George was this is George in the hammock, and I guess he's reading, but I don't see the book. Anyway, George was nice and cozy. May I join you? Martha said. George goes, I'm reading. I'll be quiet as a mouse, Martha said. Thank you, said George. And he went back to his book. But soon Martha was fidgeting. Please, said George, have some consideration. Martha says, I'm sorry. George went back to his reading, but in no time, Martha was fidgeting again. That does it, said George, and then he left. He got home, got all nice and cozy again, and opened his book. It's important to be considerate to our friends, said the book. It certainly is, said George. Sometimes we are thoughtless even without knowing it, said the book. I'll say, said George. Martha should read this book. He went to go find her. I'm sorry I was fidgeting, said Martha. I got lonely. Oh, said George, I never considered that. What do you want to tell me? Oh, wait, what did you want to tell me, said Martha. Oh, nothing, said George. I just got lonely too. And they sat and told stories all night. Martha didn't fidget even once.
Aww.
That's so sweet. Now she's in the hammock. George was in the hammock at first, and now she's in the hammock. And he's sitting on the edge. Look at George and his tooth, man. Look at this. George's tooth is just too much.
They're not
Yeah.
still.
I want to get a gold tooth.
That would be great.
What'd you think of the story? It's nice. Sometimes when people
I
are-
thought it was very
I thought it was
thoughtful, considerate story.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when people are fidgeting, they actually need attention. They don't need less attention. Oh my Lord. Okay, so check this out. So we've got like 10 minutes left. I don't know if we're gonna get to the actual people, like the people. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get to George and Martha. What I'm most interested in, and it's like different than what we've drawn so far. We have the beach. We have the waves that are up against the beach. And then we have this wave. I just realized that they don't use blue in the entire book. So they use green,
Really?
red, orange, and yellow. And like this gray, like this black. And so it's weird. So like the water is green for some reason. So we're basically going to build a stage set. What I want you to do first, which is different than all the rest of them, I need you guys to start first with a square. So we're going to draw the outside of the rectangle before we even start. And it's not a rectangle, it's actually a square. These books are squares, so all the compositions are in squares. So if you draw the square first, that'll be the way to go. And then what we can do is the first thing you can do is draw the one line across the whole picture. You start with the beach, and the beach transitions into the ocean, and then the ocean turns into the wave. You draw the wave, and then that wave turns into the top of the wave. And I've never drawn anything like this before in my life, which is wild. I mean, this is a huge wave. And then we'll break it up. And I think the fun part is going to be able to draw these palm trees going back in space. So once we draw this one line that goes across the entire picture, from the edge of the beach into the water, into the wave, and then that wave like shows the little splashy parts, then it turns into the top of the wave. From there, we'll be able to subdivide it into, the sand, the waves that are crashing on the beach, and then the big crash. Okay, I need to crop this down so I know you're not going to be able to see Martha at the top, but it's going to be okay. I think you're going to be able to see the entire base of this section. Pull this over, pull this here. And hopefully you've gotten to see George and Martha, and you might, I don't know, you might like to spend more time reading their books, because they're really sweet stories, and every one of them is kind of nice, and it's a lesson on kindness, which are good reminders sometimes. Okay, well, I'm zoomed in kind of far. Maybe I should zoom out a little bit more so you can see it. Is that squared off for you, Stacy?
Yeah, yes.
Okay,
That's
great.
even better, right there.
Okay, so my whole picture is going to be a little bit smaller, but there's not much I can do about it. So I'm going to draw the bottom of the square, so I know where my world is taking place. So that's the bottom of the square. And then we're going to come across, we're going to pretend that the chair and the trees aren't even there. We're going to come across, do the line for the beach, and about halfway,
I'm done.
it turns into the water.
You
And it
are?
goes up.
Let's take a look, Jacob.
Boom. It almost looks like it looks like a hand from The Simpsons. Great
Hold
work.
that back just a teeny bit. And freeze. Got it.
That's good, Jacob. All right, so now that you have all that stuff, we've got about like 8 minutes left. Maybe color the tree,
Yeah.
like color the tree trunk,
I want to make it rain.
color the sky. Oh yeah, you could put storm clouds in there, gray storm clouds. Okay, so this line was the most important. So I did the beach, I did the wave, and I did the top of the wave. So now I'm going to separate any water. I'm going to separate the water from the sand. And I'm going to use this squiggle to
And also, I
separate.
lost the tooth the night before yesterday night.
Say that again?
I lost the tooth the night before last night.
Congratulations.
Was it on the top or the bottom?
Was it your first one? Was it your first one?
Top.
No,
Oh, okay.
this is my 7th one.
Nice. Michaela, did you lose
Alright.
a tooth too? Michaela, did you
I've
lose a
lost
tooth?
most
I
of
lost
mine.
my molars.
You
Whoa.
did? Wow.
I actually
I
have
lost
all of my
3
molars.
more.
Long ago.
2 more. Yeah, it's quite a day. I actually kind of miss losing my teeth. I enjoyed that experience. My teeth didn't hurt that badly. It was like kind of a good hurt. Like it would when they got loose, I never like pushed it too far. I let it kind of happen on its own. There seems to be 2 foam, like 2 layers of foam. I'm just gonna say that like the squiggles that are the white part, I'm gonna call that the foam. I do know that they start really small off in the distance, and as the foam gets closer to you, they get larger. And that seems to be a theme that carries all the way through. I mean, if you look at the trees, I mean, we could just do the tree trunks. The one that's farthest away is small. And then as they march closer, the tree trunks get bigger. It's amazing. Like teeny little palms back here. The palms get bigger, get more definition, and they turn green. I guess they're all green. The sand also has that same theme. So the theme is, Jacob, you can check this out too. The theme is that the things far away are small, and as they get closer, they get larger. So the trees do that. They get small and come larger. The foam starts small and gets larger. The number of dots, the farther away the sand, the more dots there are. And then as that sand gets closer, the dots get spread apart, which is an interesting way of thinking about sand. Because you can't really make one sand follicle smaller than another sand follicle. Like one dot is going to be the same all the way through. So what the artist did was made the sand that was further away, he added more. And as it got closer, and you can even think of these as not as sand, but almost like rocks, or like you can put a little shell in there. Ooh, that's fun.
Oh,
Put a shell. You could do a starfish.
I'm done.
I'm thinking of like
Let's take a peek.
beach. I'm thinking of beach things. Let's see. That is quite the picture. Wow. Nice, Jacob.
Nice, Jacob.
Dude, you're having a party, man. I mean, that's what I want this class to be. I mean, drawing for me is so fun. I mean, I love drawing on every level. And if you're I just noticed that. Look at this. There's foam at the edge of the wave too. I didn't notice that. You could maybe put some more marks that suggest that the wave is like curling up and over. Whoa. Anyway, what I was saying is that if you're having fun, you guys are starting drawing at such an early age. The skill development is going to happen. So just choose subjects that you're interested in, and just try to enjoy what you're doing. I mean, every day I get to teach people how to make art, and it's like so fun. And every day making art is better than everyone else's worst, or our worst day making art is better than everybody else's best day. The fact that you like to make art you're very lucky, you're very blessed. to know how fun it is.
Yes.
And even when the drawings don't go very well, that's the other thing. So check this out, guys. I'm inventing. We did trees. I did trees that were small and they got bigger as they went back. I'm gonna try and do clouds, but they're gonna start big and then they're gonna get smaller as they go back. So watch this. So I'll make this one a little bit smaller. I'll make this one even smaller. This one smaller. And notice how they get lower on the page. I don't know.
So
if
that
I'm-
really lets me see that they're much further away and the ones that are much closer. Yeah,
I'm gonna give
It's
it.
3:58.
I'm gonna give it a sun.
thank you.
There's the sun. What else does it need? Should I put a
Oh, I
fishing-
know. You're at the beach. What about a seagull?
Oh, birds. Well, we could do the same thing with the birds. You can make the birds big, and then as they get further away, they get smaller. And you can have a bunch that are the same size because they're the same distance away. You can have some that are.
And
some that are
you
super-
should make someone jumping into the water.
All right. I'll have somebody diving in. Here, I'll put. There's some swim trunks.
Michaela, how's yours coming along? Did you want to show that? Brooke? Oh, nice. Hold that a little bit. Actually, just freeze that. Hold it nice and still. Very good. Very good. Love those palm trees.
I'm gonna give them flippers.
I'm not done yet.
That's fine. Just wanted to see how far along you were. What you had created so far.
All right, I drew a guy diving into the wave. He's wearing flippers. Not a bad day.
No.
So next week, you guys can have your parents email me any requests if you want to like draw some stuff. I think we're gonna do Scooby-Doo, some Scooby-Doo characters next week, or at least part of it. And what else was I gonna
And we
say?
can do one.
I think
What
there
did you
might.
say, Brooks?
I don't like drawing those.
You
We won't
don't
draw
like jungles?
No, you said
I
goat.
don't like drawing Scooby-Doo characters.
No.
Oh,
Scooby-Doo
you don't like
character?
Scooby-Doo characters.
Well, we'll see how it goes. The I know Brooks wants. I know Jacob wants to draw at least one, so I think we'll probably draw one character. And then, but that won't be. We won't do it the whole time. And then there may be a couple other new people because this is kind of a new class. So all you guys are from Saturday, and there are some new people that are going to join. So this was nice to have 3, but it's probably going to be 5 total, which is still a small class, which is great. I'm just holding on to see if Mr. Messick. Yeah, Michaela, what's up?
When I went to Mexico, Cancun with my family, the water was emerald green.
Like this color?
Exactly that color.
Oh, that's pretty.
Thank you for making that recommendation. I happen to have an emerald green right next to me from my previous drawing. And then the other thing is, I'm going to Cancun in June, so I'll get to see that beautiful water. Maybe like in
My grandma, my grandmama is coming. When? I think in next month.
Nice. Does she like to draw?
I think so.
All right. Well, you can have her come. She can draw with you. And maybe we can make her maybe a card. Maybe if she likes, does she like certain flowers or certain animals?
Okay.
No, just find out what she likes, and then maybe we can make her a picture. All right, guys.
That would be
this
a
was
nice,
fun.
nice stuff.
I will,
Thank you so much,
I'll
Mr.
see you guys next
Twist.
week, and I might see some of you Saturday. Either way, I'll see you soon.